everyone, I'm Ellie, and today we are going to be talking about 3D modeling and printing for cosplay props. This is a new technique that I recently learned while I was working on my Luchia anatomy cosplay. I created this 3D printed microphone as well as a shell necklace to go with that costume. 3D modeling and printing may appear to be very intimidating and hard to do, but it's actually quite simple, and I'm very excited to show you how I learned it. Today we are going to be looking at what program I used for my 3D modeling, what site I went through to get my props 3D printed, and how they look once they're finished. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so today, like I said, we are going to be working on 3D modeling Luchia's microphone from Mermaid Melody Peachy Peachy Peach. This was my second time 3D modeling. Before this, I had worked on her shell necklace and kind of gotten the hang of the program I'm working with. This is called Tinkercad. It is all online, you don't have to download any programs, and it is completely free. I really enjoyed using this platform for my 3D modeling. It was easy to use, and after a bit of reading, I really understood what I was doing and felt really comfortable working on it. It's a program that's actually made for kids, so it really is easy to understand. You have a library full of shapes that are lots of different shapes, some that are very basic, like circles and squares, and some others that are a bit weirder, I guess you could say, like pineapples or boats. You have lots of really weird things in there, but they can all come in handy in some way or another. So what I'm doing here, there's no science behind it. I'm really just messing around. So using our basic shapes, I created the base of our microphone, and with the base of my microphone connected, I made sure to group those all together so I could move it as one piece. Now I am beginning all the decoration. I am using all sorts of different shapes and trying to find one that I like the most. So right now I am using the pineapple shape, and I am adjusting it to try and make the shell on the top of Luchia's microphone. Now I ended up not using the shell at all, but I still think it's good to show what I did, even if it's not how I got the final product. Something that took me a while to understand when using Tinkercad, but ended up being one of the most useful tools, was that you can use shapes to create negative space. Negative space means that rather than being a shape that gets printed, it's actually something that is cut out of a shape you already have. So when I got to working on this shell piece, I ended up using a lot of negative space to create the bevel around the edges of the shell. So here you can see I'm using this curved piece, and I set it to inverse or negative space, so that way it's going to be cutting out of the shape that I already have. And now I'm going to move it all around my shape and simply cut those edges down. Now I'm sure that in more advanced programs, or maybe even this program, there's a better way to do this to make a much smoother shape, but I could not figure that out, and in the end I was really happy with the way that this turned out. Although I will say this was a test of patience, having to turn this little itty bitty piece all the way around the curved edges of my shell and making sure that none of them overlapped or created harsh edges was really complicated, but in the end, like I said, it turned out beautifully, and I'm really happy with the way it looks. Once I had created all those bevels, I went ahead and cut the shape in half and mirrored it, so I only had to bevel one side of the shape. At that point, I was then able to group those two sides back together to create one shape and then put it onto my microphone. One thing that I really like about this program is that even though you have all these different shapes, you can put them inside of each other. You don't have to layer it perfectly on top like if you were cutting out pieces of foam to put on top. Instead, since it is a computer-generated 3D product, you can move your shapes up and down, and it's okay if they clip through your other shapes. Because once you print it, it's not going to show the inside of your shape, it's going to create one solid object. So here you can see I have most of our shapes in place. I have the buttons on the microphone, as well as the shape of the base microphone. I'm going to go ahead and add the little shells for the speaker part of the microphone. These shells were created by adding lots of pineapple shapes together to get something that kind of resembled a shell. This is the same way that I created the shell necklace. Now you might notice that in the program, all my shapes are different colors. While they will not print in those different colors, it is nice to keep all your shapes as different colors so that way you know what is what and everything kind of makes a bit more sense. And now I'm just adding the little cap to the tip of the microphone. And once I have everything in place, I'm going to group it all together and save my file. You can save as a couple different file types, and I haven't really found a difference between any of them. They all work the same. Once my file was saved, I uploaded it to 3D Hubs. 3D Hubs is the website that I use to print my 3D products. What I like about 3D Hubs is that you get this really great representation of what your product is going to look like once it's printed. It shows you a reliable scale. You can have a banana show up to give you the banana scale, since we all know and love banana scale. And it tells you if there's going to be any issues with your products. So this says that there are a few overlapping pieces and things like that, and those are things that I'm going to go in and clean up a little bit later. So once I cleaned up all my pieces, it was time to get them printed from 3D Hubs. 3D Hubs is kind of like an Etsy for 3D printing. But rather than choosing who you want to print your products, 3D Hubs sends your files to one of the closest printers that is available at the time, and that person will print all your products and then mail them to you. So first we have my little shells. These came out super duper cute. As you can see, they're printed out of a nice hard plastic. They do have a bit of ridging on the top where the curves are, but that's pretty normal with 3D printing unless you're using something like a resin, so that's okay. I got quite a few of these shells and they all turned out beautifully. I also got printed a few larger shells for Luchia's necklace, and just like the little shells, you can see that these look just like my 3D models do. Again, there is that ridging along the curves, but that's something that can be easily taken out with sanding or some primer, and also doesn't look that bad once painted if you just paint it as it is. And lastly, we have our microphone. I printed the microphone in two parts that will be glued together. So we have the back and the front. As you can see, it again looks exactly like our 3D printed file. There are a few extra pieces along the buttons and the button holder on this microphone, but that's simply because my piece overlapped some and didn't touch all the way. And so when the pieces aren't touching, they're going to print stabilizers. So that way the piece will float and not just sink into the rest of the plastic. Those were super easy to pick off with a sander and then sand them away. What I love about these 3D printed products is that they are extremely sturdy. I have dropped my microphone, I have thrown it in my purse at conventions, I've done all sorts of crazy things, and it is still in one perfect piece, and I'm not even close to concerned about it breaking. At first, I was a little worried that the wings on my necklaces might fall off, but even those are extremely sturdy. I had always been afraid to try 3D printing and modeling, even though I knew that it would be really awesome because it would make pieces completely symmetrical and make it really easy to make a lot of the same piece. I was really afraid that it was going to be super duper hard and time consuming and take a lot of trial and error, and I did not want to go through that. But I'm really glad that I did try it out because it's easy and not that time consuming at all. Making that microphone only took me maybe 2 hours, and I was having a lot of fun with it. After working on this project, I have already started 3D printing more pieces because I just love the way it looks. So I hope this will inspire you to get started and try out some 3D printing. It is a great way to get symmetrical and very clean cosplay parts. If you do try out some 3D modeling and printing, let me know. I would love to see what you made in the comments below or in my DMs. That's totally awesome. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I do appreciate all of your support, as always. I say it all the time, but I really do mean it. And I wanted to let you guys know that I actually just launched a Ko-fi account. If you don't know what Ko-fi is, it's a way to support artists without any sort of monthly subscription. It is a $3 one-time donation that you can make whenever you feel like, and I'm going to be putting all of those funds towards future costumes. Right now, I have set my goal for Punk Rock Hanamaru from Love Live Sunshine, and I'm going to be posting pictures and progress of that on my Ko-fi account, as well as on my Instagram stories. And if you do donate towards my Ko-fi, I will be putting your name into my video so that way everyone can see that you supported me, and I have a great way to thank you. If you send multiple Ko-fis, I will be mailing you a Polaroid of Hanamaru, as well as a personalized thank you note. So I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I am so thankful for all of your support. And as always, keep sewing, stay positive, and have fun. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.